Day 2 of the chaos, man. So didn't get a chance to train yesterday because we had to put those things together. But we're here with the queen. Queen Slay! She got a heavy deadlift day. She's in prep for the Arnold. We're probably sitting at like, what day is today? She's probably sitting at like 4 weeks out. 5 weeks out. So shit's getting heavy for the queen. She's about to go take over the Arnold, and we're just going to show her support however we can. So she's warming up. I think she got that heavy double today. I just got back and bicep. Again, I'm still feeling a little sick. I probably sound stupid. So I'm just going to catch a little pump. New clothes are in, so things are chaos. Shout out to Seabass for starting to organize that stuff. And I got to fly to LA in like 4 hours. So a lot of movement, a lot of motion, but we're getting after it. So come along. We're going to follow Abby in this. Quick back and bicep as I'm on my hypertrophy shit. I'll get a little cardio. We're talking about doing a Discord competition too. So if y'all want to join, we're probably going to start in like a week. So 50percentfacts.com is probably the easiest way. Actually, we got a link below. If you go link below, click it, join the Discord, and we're going to run a little competition there. But for myself, it's just to spark my cut. So I'm not doing anything extra drastic. I'm not trying to go crazy. I'm just trying to lock myself in for 30 days, and then I'll continue my cut for 8, 16 weeks. I have no clue what I could lose. I do have a lot of fluff, the holidays, and then even when I was deadlifting heavy, I was just eating 100% intuitively, and sometimes crazy, right? Sometimes I'll be having 5 cookies or something. So we definitely got some water weight to lose. I didn't weigh myself. I guess I should today. It's just been so hectic around here, and so I guess today is the official day. I'll weigh it before I leave, and I'll text Seabass so he knows and he can put it on the screen. But I think we might be able to snag like 5 to 10 pounds. Which is pretty like drastic, but again, it's the first start of the diet from a pretty drastic push, right? Yeah, 30 days. So that's a lot of water weight, but my goal would probably be about 10 pounds. I was pretty inactive when we were deadlifting. I would warm up 5-10 minutes, cool down 5-10 minutes, but that's it, no other cardio, and I was just eating as I needed. Where now, I'm gonna get my walks in. I'm not gonna go crazy and do sprints, and I'm not gonna just eat lettuce. Like I haven't decided if I'm a track or not, to be honest, just because I know so much and what I will need or not. But the goal is definitely get 200 grams of protein. I'm going to try to walk anywhere from 1 to 3 miles a day. That's total. That's not like cardio. That's just steps, basically. And then my regular workout routine, which will be like push-pull legs, upper-lower, push-pull legs, repeat. So 5 to 6 days a week, catching a pump, feeling really good about it. First, I got to get over this sickness, and obviously things are going to get real hairy in this first week because we're running this meet. So we got to rearrange this whole gym and set everything up. And then the end of these 30 days, I'll be in the Arnold, which is going to be tough too because there's going to be food and travel, and that just makes it harder to train. But I'm sure, I don't know, she'll need a session before she competes, but I'm sure Seabass will want to train. So we'll find a gym. I know a local gym out there that we'll go to, and we'll get a session in, so I'll be able to catch a pump. So yeah, it'll be good. There's a lot of obstacles along the way. You know, if you're like a pro bodybuilder, man, you just sit at home. You get to schedule out everything, and routine's so beautiful. But I want to show y'all what it's like when you don't got that perfect shit, because I know y'all don't live that life. You got jobs, kids, hobbies, school, whatever it is. And so that's more like me, right? My business and my living isn't so structured. So I'm gonna take my structure and shove it in this chaos world. My coach used to say, do you find form through freedom or freedom through form? I don't know exactly what that meant. He used to yell it to me a lot, but we'll figure it out. What I'll for sure do is try to get 2 push days, 2 pull days, and a leg day in the week. Maybe 2 leg days. Plus 4 to 7 days of cardio, right? Probably 4 days of like cardio, and then, like I said, those steps. Because of the travel and shit, I never want to like perfectly line up, like, man, I got to do chest Monday, right? It's like we're going to fly to Ohio. That's a whole day of flight. So maybe on that next day, I might have to do chest and back. And that's kind of the flexibility difference of me being a pro bodybuilder rather than me looking okay. Besides the drugs That's like what it takes. It's like you got to be a little bit more flexible. And even those pros have to be flexible. They got to make a living, right? They got to go do seminars or appearances or YouTube or sell supplements or whatever the fuck they do to make money. So it's a matter of, that's kind of like the joke I was making about freedom through form or form through freedom. And so the freedom is my lifestyle and how I do business and how I travel, but I have to keep my form and I have to find that within the freedom, rather than have a very strict lifestyle and a very strict workout, which would be fine for some and works for some. It's just not the business I'm in, sadly. So I don't lock in chest on Monday, but I will lock in. I'm gonna hit all body parts about twice a week and get my steps in. So even if I gotta wake up early at the Arnold and go on a walk by myself, I'm gonna fucking make it happen. Took a little RPE with Coach Avi. For those that don't know, like rate of perceived exertion is a weighted program that allows you to take in day-to-day variability. Because just because if you bench 315 once at a meet or one good day, doesn't mean you can bench 315 every single day. One, because of stressors in your life that go up and down, sleep, food, life stress. Two, from the fatigue of training. We don't always want to be able to do that, right? We want to be able to build some of that fatigue to adapt to ourselves. So again, let that fatigue dissipate and get even stronger. So you bench 315 once, we want to handle like 275 to 300 a lot of volume, a lot of variations, and then let that fatigue dissipate, and then we smash 325, you know? So that's kind of the goal of programming. And we're gonna talk to Avi, who's a high-level elite lifter, because RPE starts to feel and change a little bit as you get stronger. You learn it a little bit more and you learn about yourself. Because there's some very basic rules people go by, like RPE 8 means you have 2 left in the tank. And that's a good general guideline. But once you start to get very strong and really optimize your training and your technique and your musculature and all that, it doesn't always work that way. And so we're going to pick her brain how she chooses on the day what load to take for a top set. A lot of our guys know like the basics of RPE and like what it is and how you use it, and maybe programming it becomes a little more complicated. But I was explaining to them, I feel like when you get stronger, RPE almost becomes more complicated. Because something could be like an 8 for you, but that doesn't, like say, even today, right? You're supposed to do like an 8-ish, right? So, okay, let's just say 7, whatever it means. So 7 for a double, but the stronger you get, sometimes I feel like that doesn't mean that you could do it for a set of 5. That's the basic rule, but that's just like such a general guideline. So how do you go about choosing your top set on like a heavy day to day? Like a RPE 7. Yeah, like what, yeah, like is there a weight that you have coming into the day that like, oh, I'm gonna be in this range? Or do you say, okay, so what'd you end with, 407? You ended with 407? So, or do you say like, all right, I'm gonna take 365 and then I'll know the feeling? Like how do you guess? It's obviously not random. So how do you choose your top weight on a heavy day for you?
Yeah, well, I based it off of the previous weeks. So last week was a 407. I did for RPE 6 for a double. So this week, I could already tell going up, like warming up to my like singles, that they weren't feeling as good. Like I wasn't as energized as like last week's warm-ups. So I could kind of remember how it felt before.
Yeah. And
then based on how the warm-ups feel today, I adjust my expectations. So I would have taken 180 instead of 185 kilos. So that would be 5 kilos less than last week. But I showed my coach. And like you said, it's hard because sometimes based on how it moves, you need to be objective almost with like the bar speed, but also like subjective with how you feel that day. So
it's kind of a balance game.
Yeah, and then having someone, like my coach is very familiar with how I move. And it is also tough because I'm not training doubles at high RPEs for most of the off season. So like getting into this like lower rep range, high RPE, me and my coach are both learning like how am I moving, and like what is a RPE 7 versus RPE 8.
Right. And you've gotten crazy strong over the last 3 years. So like what used to look like a RPE 7 may look like no struggle, but an RPE 7 or 8 now may look like a mini struggle, but it doesn't mean that that you labeled it wrong. It just gets more difficult.
It gets more difficult. It's like more complex. There's like just more factors into it. Also, like I'm taking my time with breaking off the floor more, so it looks slower than it usually does. But I don't feel like it's because it's heavy sometimes. However, sometimes it is because it's heavy. Like today, I feel like it's because it was heavy, and I was still trying to like keep in the bar in control the entire time. So,
or you like see it on paper, right? You did 407 pounds for a double at RPE 6 last week. And then if we wrote it out, you did 407 for RPE 7 for a double this week. And you'd be like, oh, Abby got weaker. But RPEs went up in all your lifts. Your volume and intensity are going up. So you're just generally more tired.
Yeah, relative to everything else.
So it could be a win. You could actually be getting stronger, although the RPE goes up with the same weight, which is just like a mind fuck for an athlete. And that's like one reason to have a good coach, so they can like mentally chill you out and say, hey, that was good, that's what we want. And then two, be like, no, it's good, like it's okay.
I would actually feel fine. I feel good that it was the same weight as last week. I usually think like matching the weight from the previous week is okay. Like going up would be like the best, right? Ideal. And then matching the weight, I'm like, that's still a win in my book. Because everything else, take everything into consideration. But also like, if I did 5 kilos less than last week, I wouldn't be upset about it either. Like I would be like, well, maybe I take a step back-ish this week, and then next week, like, I'll be right on track, you know what I mean?
Just that's what you have to see, though, because, you look at just today, and you're like, fuck, failure. But if you look at the last week, you're like, oh, okay, that's there. And then you look at the last 3 weeks or last 4 weeks, you're like, oh, this is all to plan in a way.
It's all fine. It's just a day. Like, you have to take everything into account, how you feel, and then, like, there's a lot of other stresses going on. And those things matter in training as well. So like there's tons of reasons. I could kind of think back. I was like, why do I not feel 100% today like I did last week? And
because you're up till 2 a.m. playing Mario Party.
No, I actually slept so early last night, and I was like, is that the problem? I slept at 9 yesterday, and I slept in this morning. Yeah, I slept so early, and then I woke up pretty late. So I'm like, did I get too much sleep? Now I feel kind of like
sometimes
sluggish. Yeah.
That's why I tell people like 8 hours or whatever is like good and wonderful, but the most important thing is bed at the same time and wake up at the same time. That's so important.
I think I kind of feel routine. Right, and I'm training a little later than I usually do, which is fine. Like I'm not going to use that as an excuse. Like, oh, you train a little later and now nothing's perfect. It's like whatever.
It's actually probably a good time right now because this is probably the exact same time you'll be training in Arnold. Because there'll probably be an afternoon meet there for you, and it's 10-ish here, so it's probably like 1-ish there.
Yeah. So, I don't know, my coach gave me the thumbs up to like go up and match my weight from last week. I was like, okay, if you say so, like I'll do it. And I hit it, and it was like, I think, it was smooth for sure. That's what I'm happy that it's smooth and like I don't lose positioning, but it was kind of like slower than I expected.
Every lifter is different, but like to me, a lot of times, if you're efficient in your lifts and a little more advanced, obviously, again, some people grind a little better or more explosive and whatever, but majority of the time, you get above like an 8.5. Now there's going to be like sticking points, right? And to me, a lot of times 8 or below, as long as it's like butter the whole way, it may not be like rabbit fast, but it would be butter, then you're probably in the pocket. And yours was butter. There's no sticking point. It just maybe wasn't as fast as you're used to.
Right, which is fine. I think the number one thing to prioritize, especially when the weight gets heavier and the reps start decreasing, is like keeping my positioning. Like that's the one thing that I'm worried about, is like not pulling myself out of position, like not wanting to rush it. I'm like, keep it close, like in my head.
Because no matter the weight, if you're in good position, at least you give yourself a chance to pull it. If you get out of position, 5 pounds turns into 1,000 and you're fucked.
There you have it.
Good job, Coach Abby. go home and eat some ground beef. We'll definitely do like a full day eating y'all asked for. We got travel vlogs with Seabass. We'll be moving around town a little bit. And videos sprinkled in between because we got this meet. So probably just more vlogs, man. You guys get to see the game day boys and, you know, Petrie, some of the biggest lifters in the world. They're going to be out here kicking it, so I'm sure we'll get them on film lifting or kicking it. So random footage for sure, but the cut's going to be going on the entire time. So tap in, stay tuned. Appreciate you guys so much for listening. SILENTMIKKE, 3sp.co. Be a part of something bigger than yourself. We're out of here.